it's taken quite some time, and I can honestly say we have a really strong team. I am huge on not having drama and really creating an environment that people want to get up in the morning and come to, and make sure that we can all be open and honest and treat each other like adults.
Today in the Curious Builder podcast, we had Laura Brophy in, and she has an interior design business out of Newport Beach. And we talk just about a very interesting way from fashion design to working for Restoration Hardware into her career, and really just some of the things that she's really let go of that her team can support, and she can build her business in a way to reclaim her time. And I think towards the end, we really pivot on wellness. Laura's very interested in how that can recharge not only herself, but also her business. And we talk about some of the emerging trends and different things that clients are looking for. Without further ado, here's Laura Brophy. Welcome to the Curious Builder podcast. I'm Mark Williams, your host. Today, I'm going out to the West Coast in Newport, California, Newport Beach, I should say, with Laura Brophy from Brophy Interiors. Hey, Laura.
Hi, good to be here, Mark.
I know. Well, thanks for taking the call. And I can't remember. I should know. Who was our introduction again? Because we were introduced to each other through email, if I recall.
We were through Stacy Aikman.
Oh, sure. Yep, Stacy.
Homes.
Yep.
He's wonderful. We recently connected, and he thought it would be great for us to connect. So
he's great. So I actually met Stacy. Did you listen to his episode?
I did.
Yeah. So well, then the audience knows too. I met him out at Contractor Coalition 4 years ago now, and then he now leads our Curious collectives in Seattle and LA. So
wow.
Here we go. And in Newport Beach, do you know Patterson Custom Homes?
I do. Yes.
Yeah. So I've been through a couple of his homes. I was out. We had the Contractor Coalition at Huntington Beach 2 years ago. And so I was out in your neck of the woods. And oddly enough, Morgan Molitor, who is one of my business partners, she went to school for fashion at maybe even the same school. You guys don't know each other, do
you? I do not.
Yeah. It's just funny. I've actually met a handful of designers that went to school for fashion, which I guess somewhat makes sense. But anyway, I thought Morgan is funny because she's a builder who went to school for fashion. So that one's kind of a curveball. Why don't we introduce you to the audience? Tell us a little bit about who you are, and we'll kind of just dive into it, and like we normally do, and hear your story. And then, of course, we're on the Smile Tour on the West Coast, so we're overlaying it through buy back your time principles and talking about your business operations, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah, well, I'm Laura Brophy. I have a design firm here in Southern California. I've been in the industry for quite some time, and my journey into this was not something that I would consider normal or like the way everyone gets into design. I actually started thinking that I was going to be in sports medicine. So that's what I was going to school for. And one day I walked into an upholstery shop, and I just stood there and was so fascinated by all of the fabrics. And I started flipping through these like beautiful fabric books, and then I went into the workroom, and there were sewing machines and just all of these amazing pieces that were being transformed. And I was so inspired by how you could take something that was ugly, not beautiful, something that most of us would throw it away, and it could be turned into something beautiful and meaningful and something that had stories to it. And so I was really fascinated by that. And I ended up working there as an intern. And that's how I got into design school. I then switched and went to the Interior Designers Institute in Newport Beach. And while I was there, I worked. I went to a lot of different companies. I did kitchen and bath design while I was going to school. I don't know if you remember Expo Design Centers. It was a high-end Home Depot. And I worked there for a while, learned a ton. And then I ended up going to some different boutiques, learning more of the luxury side of design. And then I actually started a company with a friend. So we had a business together and quickly learned that the business side wasn't our forte. And we're still friends today, but we do not have that business together anymore. And at that point, I was a little unsure what I was going to do. I ended up becoming a buyer for Dolce & Gabbana. Totally different, but I loved fashion. That's a whole nother side for another day. But I went into more of the fashion world, and then I was recruited to Restoration Hardware when they were starting their design program. And I really became a designer, but also I was in a leadership role. And that was huge growth for me because I was helping run the West Coast design program. So I was working with clients as well as helping to hire, build teams, and organize an operation where how we were presenting to clients and how we were bringing design into this luxury retailer. And it was a fascinating job. I traveled a lot. I worked a ton. And I did get to a point where I realized it just wasn't what I was craving anymore. I wanted deeper relationships with people where I really could spend time with them and really, instead of just designing a room, I could design someone's life and really focus a little bit more on what I love about design. And it's the people and it's creating spaces, not just a room full of beautiful furniture. So I got out of that world and quickly after that, I started Laura Brophy Interiors. We've had the business for about 7 years now, and we have a team of 10, and I'm loving every minute of it.
So, is it safe to say that during those Restoration Hardware expansion years, is that literally where you learned the business operational side of a design firm?
I learned more of the leadership side of it. I really learned how important it was to surround yourself by amazing people and how if you don't, it can quickly bring a team down. And I was around a lot of senior leaders, really, high level business people that were teaching me along the way, the the business side, but a lot of the how you build a business, like how you grow a business. And I am by no means the business side of the business. I brought in my husband, Rob. He runs the business side so that I can be more of the visionary of where our business is going, how we're growing the team, and more on that design
Was
side.
Rob, did you, when you started in 2018, was Rob right there from the very beginning? You knew you needed the business side of it taken care of?
He's my husband, so he's always been there along the way. He's always been a huge support, and I'm very thankful for that. The very beginning, he had his own full-time job and was extremely busy, was helping me some at night. But the beginning, it was me. I knew that I needed an accountant. I know that I needed to make sure that I was following regulations and everything. So I knew that from having a business prior. But he came on maybe a couple years later when I decided to go from it's me and a couple people helping me to going to an actual location outside of our house. And that's when it really became a lot more real, is when we took that leap.
Well,
And
and the reason I asked that question is I think your path is actually somewhat familiar. Like, there's a lot of businesses that Rick and Amy Hendel, they're reigning, we just had the builder show, but like they're from Minnesota and they won the National Custom Home Builder Award of the country last year. And I've had them on the podcast a few times. And Rick was a builder, and then Amy eventually, as he got more and more successful, a lot of it was transitioning. She was very good at design, and so you see a lot of businesses where the spouse eventually comes in, maybe not at day one, and while they're obviously always there because they're your spouse, but it seems like especially around growth periods, or they see like, hey, we can supplant. Like maybe in the beginning you couldn't supplant your husband's salary, but after a few years, you're like, actually, not only can we do that, but I also need your expertise and help. And so I'm always kind of enamored with couples that sort of expand their roles into their business, because I would imagine sometimes it's quite challenging, especially on the business side. If you're the dreamer and the visionary and your husband is like black and white on spreadsheets and that kind of thing, how do you guys, how does that argument or discussion go?
Yeah, it's like it's honestly evolved so much from when it started, where he came in and I think Rob, my husband, he was almost learning the business a little bit more too with us. And then I think he was able to then get this big picture and go, okay, here's what you want. And then it was planning out how we're going to get there. And we had ups and downs. I mean, it's not the easiest to get in sync. I think in the very beginning, it's like your baby. You feel like it should go a certain way. And then you have someone else who's coming in and he is black and white. I've never worked for money where it's like that's my main goal is to make money. I really am in an industry that I'm so beyond passionate about and obsessed with. So I would go to someone's house and work for free, which is hence why the first business didn't work, because it was saying yes to things where I thought, oh, this could be a huge opportunity. If we do this, there's going to be so much more, that can happen. It's just a good opportunity. So he quickly was like, you can't do that. Your time is way too valuable. And he really helped me slow down, which I think is important, and make better decisions from a
But
business
I mean, that
perspective.
actually is one of my first questions because it's right on your website. But basically, the most expensive resource in any business is your time.
Yeah.
Expand a little bit on that. I mean, you're touching on it right now a little bit. And I think it's really important. I think I've been in business for 22 years and I look at time so differently than I did. Well, obviously in the beginning, right? It's like I often equate it to like the ball, a dog chasing a ball at a dog park. Like I'll chase any ball that moves. It's like go, 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 go. It doesn't make it a very good, experience for anyone really. And actually, right now, speaking of Dan Martell's book, I told you I'm kind of slowly going through it because of all the work stuff. I actually just downloaded there's a resource page online that you can do, and I'm doing the 2 week audit where every 30 minutes I chart what I do, and then at the end of 2 weeks I'm supposed to go through and green the things that give me energy, red the things that suck energy, and then put dollar symbols on it. And basically the whole principle is if you calculate whatever you pay yourself divided by 2,000 hours, that's your hourly rate. And I'm guessing as a designer, you're more familiar with that than most builders are because we usually charge by the job. And then basically, if you can hire it out for a quarter, any job that you can hire out, you should hire it out, based on that metric. So anyway, back to why time is expensive.
Yeah.
So give me your perspective on how your viewpoint of time has changed and how do you value your own time?
Yeah. I mean, there's two different ways I can answer it. One, of course, is from a client perspective, what I've learned just in business. And then the other for myself is really what I was going into is just valuing my time so much more and realizing that I'm also helping people by not wasting time or not doing things that are taking away from things that are truly needed or going to help the company, going to help my teams, my family. So time has completely shifted how I think of it. And with clients, I think that's one of the reasons why they hire us. When I first started, I thought, well, people will hire me because I'm great at putting together colors and I'm great at putting together materials and putting together a space that feels amazing. And of course, that's why people hire me. But I think another huge part of it, what we do, we are making thousands of decisions for people when they are building their homes. And we really like that is important that we have a structure where we can help our clients get through a project in a logical way where they feel good. It's so exciting to be able to build a house, remodel your home. But if you're stressed out along the way, if your client is freaked out or they don't hire a great team, builders, architects, designers, lighting designers, have a curated team, you really are running the risk of the project not being fun, having a year or longer of your life that is miserable and really taking away from what a joy it is, what a blessing it is to be able to do it.
So I have a comment on that regarding time. So right now, your process, how involved do you allow the clients to get, and how involved do they want to or not want to be involved?
We have, I would say the majority of our clients really do come to us to help make decisions. So whether, it's us giving two or three of the best options out of the thousands of options, that's typically how we do it. We do have a few clients who do like to be involved in everything. They want to see every hardware piece that we're sourcing. They want to see every single element of the house they want to be involved in. And that becomes, as the client gets deeper and deeper into the project, can quickly become very overwhelming. And typically people will then go, I just want you to make the decision for me.
I mean, as a business owner, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've noticed that in my career that the higher end homes that I build with the higher end talent, both architects and designers, they also basically have it. I mean, it's kind of like, how like attracts like, or your vibe attracts your tribe. Like people that are really busy and are paying you, we do a professional service. And I think that in the messy middle, especially in the beginning when we're first starting entrepreneurship, we sort of want to be everything to everybody. And it doesn't, I get that we've all probably been there, but like the more I look aspirationally at other people that are either levels above me or people that I really appreciate their business model, they're very clear on their deliverables. And I heard two designers give this just amazing talk, and there's a pair of them, and they were speaking to an audience of about 40 designers, and they were asked, do you allow the client to be involved in decision making? And they said no. And they say, you're paying us for our opinion. You're not paying us for your opinion. And I was like, oh man, I would love to be a fly on the wall. And it so much depends on the delivery, of course, of how you would deliver that message to your client. But I have to imagine that if you're clear in your messaging, like there's a lot of people who would be relaxed, because I think the biggest hurdle for high-end custom homes or remodels is they know instinctively, like this is going to be a lot of time, and they fall into two camps. One, they're either intimidated by how many decisions they have to make, which you and I would be happy to solve that problem for them, or two, they want to be involved in all the decision making because they're excited to be a designer or to be a builder. I've had both.
Yes.
How would you? What's your observation of what I just shared?
Yeah, it's. I mean, exactly the two designers that you mentioned. That is a great way to do a project and to work with clients. We don't completely take that approach, and not to say it's not a great approach that some people will be fine with, and it's great for the team because I think the project can move a lot quicker, and there's a huge benefit to that. I would say a lot of the times with our clients, we try to upfront say, look at Pinterest, look at inspiration, let us know like your hopes, your dreams. We do all of this in a kickoff meeting. Some people bring a lot of inspo. Some people don't have much inspo. Just kind of depends on the person. And what we say is after that, stop. Stop looking at things because it just can become too overwhelming and can really hinder the project if you continue, trying to find different options along the way. But we work on so many different projects. We work with so many different people that it's sometimes fun to have the clients involved. We have some clients that just have exceptional taste. They've had a few houses. They've worked with other interior designers. They've traveled the world. They have sourced some really cool things. And we're working on one right now that we're actually installing next week. And this client it's been so much fun to work with them. And I'm not going to say it's not a bigger challenge because there is a little bit more back and forth, but we've really set ourselves up as a team where we can have a really personal service.
It's time to talk about Contractor Coalition Summit. At the beginning of May, we are going to be in Denver, Colorado for our first Contractor Coalition meetup. We're going to do a standalone event in the middle of September in Minneapolis. It's a one-day reduced fee. Tickets are available now. We wanted to create an event that was just a 1-day crash course. You can find all those details at contractorcoalitionsummit.com. We also in November have our 3-day tail end of the year, which is going to be in Charlotte. So if you're interested in any of those events, please head to contractorcoalitionsummit.com. DM me for any information or email me, mark at mdwilliamshomes.com. And thanks for tuning in. Do you charge hourly, I would
We
imagine?
do.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
I think that's the benefit of the model, right? I mean, cost plus, in the building world is
Yes.
made for that as well. I think what I like about the hourly rate, have you ever had any pushback where clients,
Yeah.
push back? And what
Oh,
what would their common
oh,
pushback be?
yeah. So we have a lot of people that just want a number. They're trying to budget what their project is going to cost, and they want to know what is a typical the design fee.
Right.
And it's a very, it's one of those things where how much is it going to cost you not to hire us is
Oh, that's a good
often
one.
what, we're saying to people, because we really come in and we're able to put together a project thoughtfully to make it so that our client's time is so valuable, so that they can have their lives, they can enjoy the process. And so we stand behind the hourly, and we by the end of the conversations, most people understand, because the honest truth is, if you're decisive and you can make decisions, it's going to be a better price. If you are indecisive and you want to see more options and you want to be more part of the process, then it's more
Hmm.
costly.
Are most of your projects remodel or new builds?
I would say, it might be 50-50
Hmm.
between new build and larger remodels are typically what we.
Do you feel that the client personality, if you were to do like either a personality test or like an observation, could you say like, hey, this is the type of people that do remodeling and this is the type that do new? Have you made any observations about that?
I think there's a lot of people who get into this that have no idea what they're getting into.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest,
Yeah.
it's quite the endeavor, as you know. And a lot of our big remodels are almost new builds, like so
Yeah.
much so that some people at the end go, I should have just done a new build. Like the
I mean,
architect, right?
the biggest issue in California specifically is your permits for new homes in particular is incredible. I remember having Dagan Koffler on a couple of years ago. He's down in San Diego area. And I mean, it's multiple years. I mean, you got Ocean Commission and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I get in the Midwest, we get bummed out if we have to wait 65 days for a permit. We think that's forever. The idea that,
Wow,
and so I can see why remodeling and also costs. I mean, you're in a very expensive part of the country as well.
we
So
are. Yeah, we have a couple projects right now. One we're working on, I think it took about 8 years to get through the coastal commissions.
8 years.
8 years. And then another one, it was pretty close to that, maybe six
I just
years.
can't imagine I'm actually more impressed that the client, and I know the team who's hired can do it because it's kind of like an ongoing trickling job that kind of stays on the burner, if you will, or simmering. But I cannot imagine the mindset of someone saying, I'm willing to spend 8 years of my life. Kudos to them. I mean, what sort of what is walk us through that? Like someone that's willing to spend 8 years, like what is their mindset that they're willing to do that? Because that's really impressive.
I find it impressive as well.
Either impressive or crazy. I can't decide which one it is. Maybe both.
Yeah, no, they're really brilliant people. I mean, these clients, one does not live in the United States, so it's not a main house. So it's one of those things where they can kind of take their time, and it's not affecting their life. So they were able to have the time
Yeah.
to wait and the financial means to wait. And another project we're working on, it's something where they had gotten two lots right next to each other where they could build their dream home. And they live in Northern California. So they have a home, and they just had the time to do something really special and something that's going to be incredible. And yeah, kudos to people that can wait and have the resources to do projects that are, dreams.
That's amazing. How do you, I mean, from a business side, how do you handle that from a billable hours in your queue? I mean, you couldn't have, I mean, if you had a bunch of clients that were at that time, but I mean, you've got a business to run. I mean, I would imagine you're not obviously always working on it. There's a lot of times where you would stop. How do you, as a business owner, how do you handle that from a cash flow standpoint?
Well, it's pretty on those types of projects. So we didn't get involved with either of them until maybe a year before they were ready.
So
We're
maybe that's
not
most, yeah,
7 years waiting for the project. We're
yeah.
brought in once it's time to bring in a designer, which we always hope is early on, once everything is through and we know that,
I guess you're right. I'm viewing that through the lens of the builder and the architect, which
yes.
were obviously a lot earlier on in this particular situation. So that makes a little bit more sense. How have you, a little bit, I guess sort of alluded to a bottleneck, but as you've grown, you have 10 people now. What are some bottlenecks that you've gone through as an entrepreneur? And how have you allocated when you're the bottleneck, and how have you solved that and either delegated it or sort of moved around it? Or what are you, if you were to be honest right now, what is like your current bottleneck? And
Yeah, I mean, I'm always learning. That said, I think as we've grown, it's gotten less of me being a bottleneck to the business. And so starting out, I quickly learned I was the bottleneck because I was doing everything. I mean, I was the floor plans, sourcing everything, doing the purchasing for everything, client emails, like late at night, early morning, phone calls, talking to builders and architects. And I mean, it was, and then I would have a team who's trying to support a couple girls who were helping. But I learned early on that that wasn't going to be sustainable for my life and for me. And as we started hiring more people, as Rob came on, we started really, you've got to trust your team and bring people on that you can really trust and delegate to, and find people who are smarter than you. I mean, a lot of, my team, the girls are brilliant and so amazing and passionate and excited and fresh. And I really rely on them. And I'm so thankful to be able to go into work and be inspired by other people. And it helps, bringing all of us together makes our projects so much better. And I just release where I'm not doing as much of the client communication. I'm part of the vision up front, making sure that the project, dictating like how the project is going to go from a style perspective. And then I'm there for client meetings and sourcing, making sure that we have a good ground. And then my team is amazing at doing all of the communication, all the purchasing, follow up, receiving everything. And we have as much support as we do interior designers on our team. So,
what do you mean by that exactly?
so we have our, a senior designer, we have lead designers, assistant
Oh, I
designers,
see. You
but
got
then we
support. You
also,
have support within the team. I get it.
yes, but then
How
with operations.
you seem like you really you've loved the team building. Do you think that are you guys at a good equilibrium, a good balance point? What does the future look like? Is this something that this is just kind of a good model? Do you keep on adding, or what does scale look like to you? Because I think
Well,
scale means something different to every person.
yeah, and it changes. I think it evolves. I mean, when you don't have a great team, I don't think you want to scale.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you have
Pretty
holes in your
difficult.
if you have holes in your ship, driving faster just makes you sink faster.
Yeah, there you go. No, it's taken quite some time, and I can honestly say we have a really strong team. I am huge on not having drama and really creating an environment that people want to get up in the morning and come to, and make sure that we can all be open and honest and treat each other like adults, and I always stress to my team, if anyone makes you feel bad, if anyone makes you just question, just feeling good, I always say, like, make sure you go to that person. A lot of the times it's perceived differently than how you took it, and you can just squash things right away. And so I really try to have a really open, really communicative, positive environment, because I think that affects design as well. I want to make sure that the design is the best it can be, and that my team, it starts with them.
No, for sure. I was curious from a emotional standpoint. All entrepreneurs and probably all people, we some of our identity gets wrapped up into our work, our passion. How do you protect, your love for your craft and your love for your clients and also your family time? Or how have you managed to sort of make sure that both are being sort of fed, if you will, emotionally?
Oof. I mean, I'm not perfect at that, but I think you just have to have things that excite you outside of work too. For me, I'm really big on wellness right now. And so I do weight training 3 times a week. I have a trainer to make sure that I commit to doing it. And I also go for walks. Like I was saying to you earlier, I go on walks. I try to go every morning with my adorable dog and my husband, and it gets us out before the day starts. And then there's also a studio close by that is incredible where I do contrast, so sauna and cold plunge. I do cryotherapy, I do red light, I
You've
get a
got the yeah,
couple.
you got the whole gambit. All right, I like it.
I have the Sleep 8 mattress. I mean, the list goes on in my journey to making sure that I'm taking care of myself and my family, and that, the most important thing, I mean, work is so important and design is so important, but also if you don't take care of yourself, it's not worth it.
I agree with everything you've said. We're doing a home here in Minneapolis called Misahus, and the whole home is kind of based on a wellness principle that we're sort of developing and trying to understand more. And I think wellness continues to evolve. If I'm 45, if I was to go back and talk to a 30-year-old Mark Williams, like what would I say? Like what would be wellness then? And someone was commenting the other day, it's like, because I get up really early, they're like, well, what time do you go to bed? I'm like, well, I go to bed after I put the kids to sleep. I go to bed like 8:30. And but it's like, I think it keeps evolving because like I just feel so much better. And so it's like I joke that at some point I'm gonna be going to bed at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, waking up at like 1 o'clock a.m. or
We're
I just
aligned.
yeah, and so I like, it's like my kids are like, Dad, can like I took my daughter to gymnastics last night, and on the way home, and she's all super excited. She's like, Dad, can we go out for ice cream? I'm like, honey, Daddy's got to go to sleep. Like the clock is ticking. Like it's your bedtime, but it's Daddy's bedtime too.
I am with you. I am like wanting to be in bed at like 8:30, and it's so early, but like I just shut down. I just can't think anymore.
I mean,
Yeah, and then I bought this. You can see I'm upstairs in this room where I do yoga and meditation sometimes at night, and the Get Fit mirror is kind of a fun thing.
well, I think it resonates with our. I mean, first of all, even if it wasn't a business opportunity, I would still be for it because if you don't feel good, I mean, you can't pour from an empty cup. And I think, the things that make us creators and it's the passion that drives us. And I think you touched on something just briefly, but I think it's important that if you don't have other interests, if you don't have things that you're inspired by, it's hard, especially in a creative environment like design or, architecture. I think you can be a creative builder. And so it's not, nothing is really black and white. I think you can add a lot of your personality and color. And I think of like from a sales standpoint, like what attracts clients to our professional services. A lot of the times it's how authentic can we be? How clear can we communicate that message? And again, it's like attracts like. I mean, we're not going to be the perfect builder for every client out there, and that's okay. And it feels like you don't understand that message until you're a little bit older. I think at the beginning you're trying to be everybody's client because you're trying to put food on the table, you're trying to figure it out, and kind of that messy beginning sort of. I don't know if is there another way to get. Can you get to age and experience without that whole messy beginning? I mean, is it?
I asked the same thing. I'm like,
I
I
don't.
just might be dumb, and like I really had to struggle
I don't
through it
know. I don't
all.
know if you can. I think it's those experiences that make you who you are. I think you kind of
And
have
I
to go
hate to
through the
say
hard.
it, but it can still, I mean, for myself, I still sometimes find myself being, like that carrot that's dangling in front of you where you're like, oh, if I do this, maybe this is going to, I mean, I've had opportunities where it's like, okay, this is for sure going to be an architectural digest project. And what a dream, and then it doesn't pencil out, or you kind of start realizing I had a feeling this probably wasn't going to work.
Well, I
But
mean, what I don't know if you're like me. I think it's a human nature thing, and I think you're a human. I think we're really good at selling ourselves what we want to believe, and I think, and so I often joke that the easiest person to sell is the person in the mirror I see every morning. And so, like,
yeah.
I mean, that guy will believe anything I tell him, and so, but it also makes you creative. How have you sort of navigated that? How have you tempered your expectations with reality? Because you still want to be positive and excited, but at the same time, if you get too carried away, you're not really bound by reality, and that doesn't help anybody either.
No, it doesn't. I think a lot of it comes from asking the right questions. Slowing down is such an important aspect of business and not just like rushing into something because you're excited. And I get so excited over projects and people, and that for me, it's very important to slow down for a minute and just have a good conversation. And oftentimes we have found, because we don't take every project that comes to us, and it probably, to be honest with you, is about 50-50. And that comes
Wow.
from asking a lot of questions up front. You're really interviewing the client as much as they're interviewing you. And by asking some of those right questions, you can really find out, is this going to be a good relationship? Because a project and working with someone, it's like a marriage. You are constantly thinking of them, their house, getting to know how they live. It's such a personal, intimate job. So it's really important that you also set up people for success. I mean, it won't make sense if someone, they don't have the budget for it and you're going to put them
I
in a horrible situation. I mean, that doesn't make you feel good.
I think it's so funny you say that. I think early on, again, it goes back to maturity and really calling a spade a spade. I think early on, and I find I just did a bid presentation this morning to a client, and we're actually closer to the original budget than I've been in many years. And I was like super giddy. I was like, hey guys, I don't know if you realize how amazing this is, but you're only like 150,000 off of the overall budget. Like I've sat in budget meetings where you're like a million or 2 million over budget. When I say over, I mean obviously design scope and options and all that kind of stuff. But we one thing I think I need to do a better job of, and for sure our industry, I should just speak to building, and I'd love to hear your point on design, but I think setting up expectations of what we think it will go. And I think referencing our past, like I like what somebody once said, like, you like what we do. You're attracted to our brand for a reason. If you want that level of service and that level of execution, this is what it's going to cost. It's okay if you can't afford it. I often joke, like, I can't afford my own work.
Yeah.
I mean, we have an amazing team. We do great work. I don't make enough money to live in what I create. That's
Yeah.
okay. And I often say that to disarm it. Like, this isn't meant to be an exclusion thing. This is just a reality thing. And I think the more that I've been clear with that message and with that, the way we deliver it, honestly, the more relaxed the clients get. And you quickly figure out who your client is early on. And every time that I go against that, and every time I sort of stretch the budget to go, it's always lower. No one ever stretches their budget to go up. It's always you stretch the budget to go lower. Every time they're disappointed, you're stressed out, your team is stressed out. And yet, why? I've been doing this for 22 years. Why is it always a temptation to sort of slide back? I don't know. Is it
Oh,
just me, or do you find it the same way?
well, I think what you're talking about is like people not making, like trying to save money as
Mhm.
they're working on a project. And we run into that a lot, where people are like, I love this light fixture, but can you find it for less? Find something comparable that's less. And it's like there are a million options. It's important to have a budget up front, and it's easier for us then to work to that. But that being said, I've never had anyone excited when they like cheapened out on things early on when they saved a buck, and then they're at the very end of the project where it's so much work, so much of their life, and then they're finally getting to that finish line where things are going in and they're going, oh, I'm so glad I saved money and I got the less
I,
expensive
uh,
option. They're excited when they're getting that light. This is my example
yeah,
of a light
yeah, yeah.
fixture because it's most relevant at the moment. When they're so excited that they actually spent the money on an amazing piece that now, like, it's been months, they're so excited for that to go in. And I just had that text message this morning. Literally, we picked some epic lighting for a client. She thought we were out of our mind, which we're not. But she thought we were out of our mind, the pricing. And now I get a text this morning like, I am so excited to see the lighting go in. It's going to be amazing. And it's like,
I,
yes, that's why we're doing this. Like, this should be exciting. And it should feel like Christmas, when you get to see what you purchased a year ago, now going into your beautiful home.
This episode is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors. I've used Pella for 21 years as the exclusive window company on every one of my builds. When people ask me who I trust for windows and doors, it's Pella, every time. Their craftsmanship, their innovation, the top-tier service make them a no-brainer for any custom home builder or designer who demand the best. Whether you're designing something bold or building something with timeless elegance, Pella has you covered. They're also the only window company that has a lifetime warranty on all of their windows. I've gotten to know all of their people at Pella Corporate, as well as locally here at Pella Northland. I'm proud to call them our partners and our friends. Visit Pella.com to learn more and connect with your local reps today. Also, for more information, you can listen to episode 1, where I interview their founders, as well as episode 109, where we talk about the innovation at Pella. I said this to a client this morning, I have never had a client that has remorse after the home is built saying, I wish I wouldn't have done this, in terms of like something they spent extra money on.
Yes.
I have had it many times where a client cuts something and says, in hindsight, I should have just done it.
Always.
Every time.
Every time.
And that's where I think perspective, and I love storytelling. I'll often use, even how we're talking right now with my clients, I'll tell them a story. I mean, it's funny, my example is a light fixture too. It's not probably as expensive as yours, but like there's a custom company here called Hennepin Made, and they do hand blown light fixtures. Amazing. I've had Jackson Schwartz on the podcast before. He's an amazing human and artist. And long story short, this client was definitely, I was pushing them because I honestly wanted the light fixture because it was so beautiful. I'm not even the designer. I'm easily sold, as we already talked about. The mirror sells me all the time. And I'm like, we got to go watch them blow it up. And like, I'm like, you get to watch, this is a piece of art. This isn't a light fixture. This is a piece of art that actually like has functional use on top of it. Like you can save the money on the Rembrandt and you can go with just this amazing light fixture. So anyway, long story short, we got it into their home. And now every time I hear her talk about it, she's always like, man, am I so glad I sold her pretty hard on getting it in there. But it was the experience. It was the story. It was going to the lighting studio to watch these artisans like blow through the little metal tube and expand the glass. And it was like, I think when you get a story attached to something versus just like an object, there's so much more, emotion and claws into it. And people usually, are much more likely to spend their money on a story. Hence why experiences, like when travel, I mean, how often have you had a client that goes to Europe or goes, South America or wherever and comes back and all of a sudden now they're like, hey, wow, Laura, could we add this into the project? And you're like, I love how inspired you are. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, exactly what you just said is what we experience. I mean, you've got to have a story to it. It's what's that emotional connection when you walk into the house? How do you feel? What does something remind you of? What was your experience? And all of that makes, I think, the house have so much more of soul to it and so much more emotion than it just being a light fixture. Instead, it's something that you got to experience and you got to be emotionally attached to. And it's so much nicer. And that's kind of, if we went back to Restoration Hardware, that's what I was lacking was, it's luxury retail. I'm not saying it's not nice. It's just, it doesn't have that story, that authenticity. And in a world right now, we have AI and what's authentic, what's real, what's fake. Let's find pieces that ground us and make us feel good in this environment and make us excited to come home and be in a space and share time with our family, our kids, our dog.
So that's a good segue into this going back into your comment earlier about wellness, and you have a personal interest in wellness. You had won Best Organic Modern Designer in California last year, which is pretty amazing. And I'm curious, what sort of, I don't like the word trends, because I feel like that means they're coming and then they're going. Like I've talked a lot about, we have a sauna camp coming up a week from tomorrow. From when we're recording this, and I do that through the Curious Builder and other wellness retreats. But my point in bringing it up is, I don't think you can't open up your Instagram feed with, I don't care who you are. You're getting served cold tubs and sauna, whether you do them or not on a regular basis. Now, I don't think that's a fad. I think that's a cultural shift because I've talked to other people and I met these people from Finland, and they were just talking about how globally pretty much every culture in the history of the world has thermal culture history, like the Russian bathhouses, in Japan and all over the world. And the
Yes.
US's were just pretty young, right? So we're just kind of coming into it, which is why all these products want to adopt the US market because we're in a major age, we're the major buying market anyway. But on top of it, they can sort of shape our new culture fascination. Pinning aside sauna, red light therapy, cold plunge, contrast therapy, all those things, what are you seeing in the home out in California? Because a lot of times it used to be on the coast and it would work into, I'm in the middle of the country. What are you seeing in terms of wellness orientated either products, design, or requests from the clients that really center around wellness?
I think it's getting to be on the forefront of everyone's mind. I mean, it's everywhere around us, whether it's on your algorithm, and you're getting all of the ads, or, you're surrounded by all these wellness places. And for residential, I mean, I'm even finding more gyms. People are definitely into weight training and making sure that they're adding that into their life. If they're too busy to go to a gym, they want to make sure they have it at their home. And then we are doing a lot of cold plunges and a lot of saunas.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much, I would say 90% of our homes have for sure a sauna.
yes.
Only Misa, who's the only one where we actually use Chilo. They're out of California. We're going to be featuring them in our model home here, and so we'll see what people, but for sure sauna. I mean,
Sauna is great. Cold plunge is awesome. And
yep.
then the outdoor shower, or having a shower that's, accessible. And I think that's another thing that's really important. I really wanted to understand that process as well, as like, how can you make that ritual work in your life and make it really functional and make it something that just brings calm and does bring wellness to your life and isn't stressful. So I think understanding how to use
So
the equipment is important too.
what? So I'm curious about the bathtub. And I'll just give you from what I'm seeing here in Minnesota for the last decade. So for the last decade, we have seen, I would say, this is too easy even. I'd say 30 or 30% of the time, a bathtub does not make it into the owner's suite. For sure, remodels in where I'm at is probably 90% of the time because they're trying to conserve space, so it's gone, and they just do a nice shower. And we usually say, hey, you have to have a bathroom somewhere in the house for bathing kids or babies or anything like that, and for resale value. This is my guess. I'm curious to I haven't asked a designer this question yet. I think that bathtubs are going to come back in again around wellness because I think what's going to happen if we're trying to reclaim time, we've got AI. I mean, there's so many things in our life that distracts us. And I know because I'm constantly distracted. Like we need help as a species to like calm down and detach from all these electrical stimulations. And our home is kind of the key function of it all, and nature, getting outside. I think that tubs are going to come back because the ultimate luxury is sitting in a bathtub for like an hour because you have to plan it, create time for it. You have to say no to a lot of things to have half hour, an hour. But I also think regulating it used to be back when I was a kid, like you filled up the tub, it was so hot, you'd be sweating, you'd want to get out. I mean, it's hard to keep the bathtub like at the temperature you actually want it to be at. So I think the advancement of like the chillers and having like in your owner suite, having it be both a hot tub or a jet tub, cold, like all in one. What do you think about that?
So I don't know about the all-in-one. Typically, we'll have the bathtub and then we'll have a cold plunge. It's usually outside unless
Mm-hmm.
there's a room that's dedicated for it. But I am all about a bathtub. I never understand when someone tells me we don't have to have a bathtub. I always try to have a conversation, just like what you're talking about up front. If there's space for a bathtub, it can be the most luxurious, relaxing, important thing, I think, for you to just spend that time, taking a little time for yourself. So, but I do think there's been some really uncomfortable tubs, and it's like maybe it's a statement tub and it's out of stone and that just looks horribly uncomfortable. It looks cold. Not, it's not something you really want to jump into. So I think making sure that you're testing out what tub fits your body, the length, that you're not just, you know, You can't like lay down, you're like sliding in your tub. And also some tubs have some amazing purposes. Like one of my favorites is MTI has the micro bubble tub.
Ooh.
It's insane. You're welcome. You've got to check it out because it's has these little micro bubbles and it like is really good if someone has dry skin or eczema. You get out and you have baby skin. Like it just
Wow.
feels so good. And so there's a wellness aspect to that. And another thing that I personally love is having the tub in the shower.
So walk me through. I've never personally liked that. I
Oh,
can't get behind it. Why do you like it?
I love just having like if you, it just
It's
depends
like
on
a wet room.
a wet room. Yeah, so I love it. Can actually be a bench as well. So I love like to put your slab around it. You have a nice bench. You have a good platform. It's not just a freestanding
Hmm.
tub. So you have kind of space to put your arms up. You can put whatever your shampoo or whatever you need on the deck, and you use it as a bench. So it's multifunctional, and it's so easy to go from the shower into the tub. So you can do both seamlessly, or vice versa. Take a bath and then you're like in your wet room, you take a shower. I've experienced it a few times. I just experienced it. I was in Japan and they had that in a lot of the hotels we were at. And I found myself taking a bath every single time I took a shower because
Oh,
I was
funny.
like, it just was easy. So
Which
it's
is funny because you think
wonderful.
of Japan. I haven't been. My wife and I want to take the family over there next
Gotta
spring,
go.
actually. And but you think of like space being a premium in Japan, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and so the fact that they have a tub and a shower, like somehow they're making it work, and they very much prioritize space way more than we probably do in the U.S. would be my guess.
Yeah. Yes. But I think they also prioritize just that ritual too.
Hmm.
Bathing is so big and saunas are big. So,
I think it'd be a fun question to ask somebody because I was just thinking about when I'm asking the question, but I already answered it. Like, when is the last time you took a bath? I mean, it might have been 15, 20 years. Like, I'm sure I took
really?
a, I'm sure I took a bath with like when my babies were baby and I had to hold them in the bathtub or something like that. But like, to take other than the only time I can think of is I used to play a lot of hockey, and I would sometimes after a long game or something I would do like or like I trail run. So maybe to do like Epsom salts or like for a not medical
Yes.
but for like a wellness aspect of, hey, I just ran a marathon or a whatever marathon, and I need to like get this lactic acid out. But other than that, like I can't I can't think of one, honestly.
Oh, you got to do it. I mean, I just took one last night.
Hey, surprise! We don't have a bathtub in our house except for the kids'
Oh,
bathroom.
oh no.
We own a 1919 house down in Minneapolis, so we do have the tub for the kids.
Cool.
But I'm 6'2", my feet sticking out of that bad boy. So
Oh
it's
no. Yeah. Well, maybe eventually.
yeah, in the house that I can't build because my stuff is too nice. What as we kind of land the plane here, one of the things that we've been doing with guests, and I had Nathan Marsala on from the Bison Group. He's in Salt Lake City. We let each guest ask the next guest a question.
Hmm.
So you will get to ask a question as well.
Okay.
But here is Nathan's question to you, and it's a pretty good one. What is one thing that you would delete from your personal life and your business? And I think that the concept of buying back your time, but like,
Mm.
what could you afford to remove from your life to get more peace or serenity or just to get time back that you could allocate to something that's a higher priority?
That is a really good question. What I could delete from my life and my business.
So one personal, one business is kind of the way he left it.
I mean, could it be as simple as stress?
Sure.
For me, it's stress, I think, is the worst thing that you can have in business and in personal. And I think just anything, that does stress you out or brings you down makes it so that you can't enjoy life, you've got to get rid of. But I'm trying to think of if there's anything for me
I
that,
mean, because my next question would be to drill,
yeah.
because I agree with you, it'd be one step deeper, which is what is something that currently causes you stress that you could remove?
Oh, can I tell you something that
Yeah.
was stressful that I did remove?
Yeah. I love it. I love
So
this.
social media marketing, we have an amazing team that we have internal and external, and
What,
bringing
I'm sorry. What do you mean by internal and
so
external?
internally we have an amazing, wonderful girl who runs our social media, and she does an amazing job, and she's able to see the day to day and take photos, and she's in the loop of what's actually going on, and so it can be a little bit more authentic and real time. And
I see.
originally we had outsourced that and found it to be complicated and didn't feel as authentic, and we were spending so much money to have something that just wasn't wonderful. And I think by bringing that internally, we have noticed that our story and our brand is so much stronger. And that's been a huge, like, social media, it's stressful. I mean, it's like you have to think about captions. What photos are you going to be posting? What stories? And then you have Substack. And then we also have YouTube. So we have YouTube that we started last year that's I'm loving because, again, it's a video format, authenticity. People are seeing an actual video, and I have someone who helps with that. So I think just around, like, continuing to figure out that aspect has hugely been a de-stressor.
I would imagine probably also in your personal life, it probably makes. You haven't mentioned it. Do you have children or no?
I don't have
No.
children, but I do have my Bernedoodle.
Bernadoodle, and your husband Rob. Where I was going with this question was just also when we take stress home personally, it affects the people in the home. Your husband probably. Dogs are amazing because
Yes.
they de-stress us. I don't know how many dogs we stress out because they usually relax us. But where I'm going with this is I remember my wife for a long time it was our voice and it was a cost we couldn't afford, and so my wife did it. But then we have 3 kids, so she's doing it at night, and then there's tension between us and because I'm filming it. She doesn't like something and she's like making me record something, and I do really good ad hoc, not being told what to say. And so, like, you can imagine how this conversation went.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of the best decisions we made was, obviously we have a great team that supports us on, we have a couple different platforms, and now I can just dip and dive and, I try not to mess up their stuff, but go in there and just do stories or do whatever. And you're right. Anytime, I don't know why we thought for so long doing it all ourselves was such a great idea. I mean, we don't do, there's nothing really in life that we do all by ourselves. It's like,
No.
you have a team, you have your business, you have your partners. And so this is just another evolution of us sort
I
of learning.
outsource as much as I can. We
Mm-hmm.
have, uh, I mean, you heard I have a personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a trainer. I know how to work out. I love working out, but that accountability, it's like one of the best decisions, the best money I spend because I just get pushed harder and I feel motivated, and I get in the gym because I'm paying for it.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah.
Cleaning my house, having a team, having social media. Sometimes we'll have someone who's cooking for us. Just anything that we can do to take off something that I'm not good at or my husband's not great at, we do. It's
Uh,
been the biggest help.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. What is the rest of your? I mean, we're just getting going on the year, but what does 26 look like? What are you most excited about?
I'm really excited. We are heading to Salone, which is a show in Milan,
Oh,
mid-April. So I love traveling, and we tried to go a couple times a year to Europe. It's something we started about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I had never been to Europe. And now that I have gone, it's just the itch to go back. And I get so inspired, and it really is just a help for myself and my own well-being to.
will it just be you and Rob? Will you bring the team? Is this for design or is this just for pleasure?
So it's for design. So the show, it's just like the city, basically. You have all these different vendors. There's parties and there's all these events, and everyone's showing the newest and latest in
Sure.
materials and beautiful craftsmanship. And then we're going to extend it and head to Florence. But it's my husband and I. We're going to be going with another vendor, Bertazzoni, and then we are going to stay a little longer. Hugo's going to be with us. He's my partner on the YouTube. So he'll be documenting all of it so that we can create, again, some beautiful content. And so I'm really excited for that. And then another exciting thing in my life is that I'm getting ready. So I hear you on the house. As you can see, like, I'm in a 1973 home that we purchased a couple years ago, and it's taken a little bit, but we are going to be doing our home and doing a big rehab to it. And I'm really excited for that. And our project's going to be called Love You to the Moon. And
Oh,
it's really
cute.
personal. And I couldn't be more excited for that
It's
journey.
it's fun because as you get the storytelling and it's obviously yourself, it's funny. It'll be interesting. We should check back with you. Actually, we should totally do that when after you're midway through or at the end. We should check back in because I'm sure you'll document it to the moon and back. And but it would be one thing I've noticed about this house that I'm building right now. We don't have a client for it. It's the first one we've done in 16 years, and it's like we created this whole story. Because the reason I created a story and a brand around this Misa Who's project that I'm doing is that I kind of felt for me that if I build a house for everyone, I build a house for nobody. And so it's like a blank piece of paper is really hard to design for. Like you and I are very good at talking to our clients and understanding what they want. But when you're trying to predict somebody you've never met, it's an unknown person. So I needed a storyline. Anyway, where I'm going with this is I completely forgot, because I haven't done it in 16 years, how much time and energy and effort goes into it when it's your own project. I got to tell you, it feels so different than designing. I'm managing 4 or 5 other people's homes way easier. This one house, because I am the bottleneck for the whole thing. And
Yes.
it is a lot more work than I remember. I don't know how. And I know I'm maybe doing it a different way than most are, which is probably why it's also so exciting and passionate for me. But I am putting in an insane amount of effort and energy in myself, like into this project. And so, anyway, if I could afford, I'd move into it. But as we are previously discussed, that's not an option. So I'm excited to see a couple of years from now when you're done, like to sit back. You should write a blog on it. Like when you design your own house, how much time and energy and effort. It's almost like you need a team to help do your own house.
Which I do. I have my team is helping me with it because, as you said, it's like there's so many options and I love so many different styles and things. And I want to make sure I don't make a mistake. And it's a lot of pressure, and it's who we're partnering with on it. And it's quite the journey. So yes, it's using a lot of smart people around me too to make sure that we're going in the right direction. Because to your point, I'll be curious. I can't wait to see your project.
Always come see it. It'll be the month of June. It's on the Artisan Home Tour. We're doing a big event for people that are in the curious builder world, the collectives, the mixers here locally. But heck, I'll probably extend an invite. Anyone who has been on the Curious Builder podcast is welcome to come. We're doing a big event on June 2nd. It's open the whole month of June, but we're doing like a huge half day. We have like 32 brand partners, so we'll make a big deal out of it. So
That's awesome.
I'll make sure I send you an invite.
Love it.
Okay, your question. What question would you like to leave the next guest?
Well, I wrote it down. Okay, so here's my question. What's one decision you made that dramatically changed how you spend your time each week? Kind of similar to the question I feel like I was asked, but that's it.
I'm also writing it down. Hence the quiet. They're like, the audience would be like, we've never heard Mark be this quiet for this long. All right, one decision dramatically changed how you spend your week.
Yes,
All right.
one decision made that dramatically changed how you spend your time each week.
All right, you got it. Well, you have to tune in next week to hear that. Thanks for tuning into the Curious Builder podcast. We'll have everything in the show notes. I'll catch you next week. Thanks for tuning in to the Curious Builder podcast. If you like this episode, do us a favor. Share it with 3 other business owners. The best way that we can spread what we're doing is by word of mouth, and with your help, we can continue to help other curious builders expand their business. Please share it with your friends, like and review online, and thanks again for tuning in.